here's a chance. Trocheck with a backhand. Kochetkov with the save. Loose puck will be settled down. Miller tries to get one through. Martinook blocks it up high. Now Slavin with a drive in front. Aho had the net front. Shesterkin kicks that away. Now back out in front. They'll score! Aho to Jarvis. What a simply sensational setup. And Seth Jarvis buries his 32nd of the year. It's 2-0 Carolina. Off of the boards, but intercepted by Staal. Staal's got to step on Schneider. Staal coming in, and he scores! From the highlight reel, the captain, Jordan Staal. End to end, and it's 5-1. It might have ended this one.
Oh my word, what a three-zone goal by the captain.
It's a heck of a game for the Carolina Hurricanes. Final score not indicative really of the dominance. I know the final score says 7-3, but we know there were a couple of empty net goals. Canes way better than the New York Rangers for the lion's share of this one. And they win at 7-3, and we usher the Rangers into the postseason. Hey, look, we all have a petty side. I will lean into the petty side. So, welcome to the postseason. Look, the Rangers really played themselves into the off season. I said postseason, off season. They did that really through 80 games of mediocre hockey at best. Actually got off to a decent start at the beginning of the season, then just hit the skids. Really didn't recover, but I ain't gonna miss them. Sorry. Hi everyone. I am Adam Gold. This is the Canes Corner podcast. We are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannon and his crew do a great job. You should check them out. All right, we're going to cover a broad range of topics, a little bit on today's game, because I think today's game kind of sets us up for the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs. And before we talk about tonight, I actually think it's worth bringing up Thursday, the game in Washington, in which Carolina got the point they needed just to stop all the worrying about, will you have home ice? Because the truth of the matter is that if the Hurricanes don't get that point, and who knows what happens today, and I'm not saying today wouldn't have happened as it did, you were still going to have to find a point somewhere. And if the Devils had done something stupid like one out, which they are capable of doing, and I've told you this before, I think New Jersey's legit good. That's going to be a great first-round series. I wouldn't be afraid to buy a ticket to Game 7. I realize that if you bought a ticket for Game 7 and the Hurricanes won it before Game 7, that ticket would pretty much carry over to the next round, so that would be okay. Not much of a risk there. But I think we're going to see a long series. I think the series is going to go 6 or 7 games. I think the Devils are just too good, even without Jack Hughes and potentially without Dougie Hamilton, although I think Hamilton is expected back, if not already back. But I thought that Carolina really laid the groundwork for today in Washington. Yeah, they got big boyed in the second period. The Capitals threw their bodies around, and I thought they leaned on Carolina and probably outmuscled Carolina in a 3-goal second period. But Carolina was so much better than them in the first, really deserved better than 2-1. Again, don't want to relitigate the game Thursday night since we've already podcasted about it. But that was a game they probably should have been ahead by more than 2-1 and weren't. And then when Washington pushed back, and I guess that goal at the end of the first period was big, Washington pushed back, but then the Hurricanes pushed back. And if not for, an overtime where they never have the puck, and this is where I still have not forgiven Jacob Slavin for the whatever mental error he made in the overtime. Like, you won the draw. Jordan Staal did his job. Let Sebastian Aho come on the ice and play offense. You just skate the puck back into your defensive zone behind the net and wait for Aho and Jarvis to get on the ice, or whoever was going to come out with Sebastian Aho in that game. Anyway, that was that game, but I thought that game set up today because Carolina was awesome in the first period. They were really awesome for the first 45 minutes of this game. Tremendous. a tremendous game. And then at 5-1, it got a little worrisome simply because, look, I don't know if they're bad goals. I actually think the worst goal that Kochetkov gave up was the first one, the Willie Cooley goal. I don't know if the other goals are bad. I know he was small on the. I want to see who scored the goal. JT Miller in the slot on the power play. Was it the power play? I think it was power play goal. I didn't like that goal because I just thought that Kochetkov made himself so small. But you have JT Miller, who's a 30-goal scorer, alone right between the hash marks. I mean, chances are that's a goal. So I'm not really banging Kochetkov on that. I thought the first one was the stoppable shot. And he made some pretty good saves in the third period. So while it wasn't tremendous, Kochetkov didn't warrant, even consideration for a star. I thought it was a step in the right direction. In many ways, similar to Andrei Svechnikov, who I thought played a very good first period and had good moments the rest of the way. Carolina played a good game. But if I was going to single out a line for being the fourth of their four top lines, that would be the line. Roslovic, Svechnikov, and Robinson. If we were ranking them, I'm not sure the Staal line wasn't the best line. The top line was great. Aho, Jarvis, and Blake were dynamite, and they provided 3 goals. Ultimately, the Staal line did two goals, actually 3. Stankoven, Martinook with empty net goals, Staal, and we're going to talk about Staal's goal. Gosh, what a goal! But those were the 2 best lines, 1 and 1A, 1A and 1B. But I thought Jankowski, Jost, and Carrier were also really good. And it was nice to see Will Carrier back in the lineup. So now, with the news that Jesperi Kotkaniemi is likely going to play tomorrow, and everybody's fully healthy on the forward group, Carolina's skating into the postseason right now. Now, granted, there are guys who have bumps and bruises, and I would not be surprised at all if tomorrow, if Gostisbehere can come back in, if we don't see Jacob Slavin take the day off. Seriously. The game is not meaningless, although maybe Slavin takes off the 2 games in Canada and plays tomorrow. But he's due a day off, and he could probably use it. It was a good game, by the way, for we always talk about top lines. I thought Carolina's top 2 defensive pairings were awesome today as well. See, like the 8th time I've used the term awesome here in the podcast already, and we're just going about 8.5 minutes. But I thought Slavin and Burns were great. I thought Orloff and Chatfield were great today. It was good to see. I thought it was a good bounce-back game for Scott Morrow, who I thought was pretty poor in Washington, and I think he needed a game for his confidence. Look, he's not going to draw into a playoff series. It's just not. If Alexander Nikishin can get visa things straightened out, maybe play one of the games, if not both of the games in Canada. We have until Wednesday for that. If we can do that, if we can see that happen, then Nikishin would be first guy off the bench if one of the top 6 defensemen, is injured or just suddenly it turns sour. But Morrow, to me, would be the second guy in. I just don't think Scott is ready for that hockey. And I would be curious to know whether or not Morrow, and honestly, maybe Nikishin, although I don't think they do it, would actually Nikishin couldn't. He's not even eligible. But Morrow might go back to the AHL and play the playoffs there. That wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened to Scott Morrow, by the way. And Chicago has had a very, very good second half of the year. They might be a threat. All right, we got a lot of stuff to get to. So let's just quickly go through the top line, the Aho line. First of all, on the Chatfield goal, that's a really good play by Sebastian to A, reach out and gather a puck that the pass was probably a little bit ahead of him, and settle it, establish the zone, gives the pass to Jarvis, who drops it back for Orlov, who gets it across to Chatfield. If I'm not mistaken, that was the sequence. Great shot, traffic in front, over top of Shesterkin. Looked like it might have gone just under the crossbar. Jalen Chatfield has 21 career goals, and 4 of them are against the Rangers. 4 of them are against the Rangers. By my count, that's just under 20% of his lifetime NHL goal production against the Rangers. You hate to see it. No, you don't. You don't hate to see it. But again, that line creates so much. Then, Aho Staal, before we get to the second goal, which was a production of the Aho line, credit to the Staal line for the possession prior, because they had a great shift. Ultimately, we get a face-off. Stankoven, Staal, and Martinook. Whew, dynamite. Stankoven fits there. It could end up being Stankoven on that line during the playoffs. We're going to talk about the way I see the playoff trios shaking out before we get out of here. But there was a great shift prior to the Aho line coming on the ice. And then Aho Staal, he gives it behind the net to Blake, who tries to get it out in front to Jarvis, who's on the right side of the goal. It never gets to Jarvis. It looks like it caroms off a defenseman's skate and goes back into the crease. And as Shesterkin looks like he's about to cover it up, Jarvis pokes it away. And there's Jackson Blake on the other side of the net. And he just chips it. He probably got 20% of it, but it was enough to propel it forward. And it just kind of floats in. That made it 2-0. Carolina was dominant. Again, this is another situation where you're dominant in a period, and it would have been criminal to just be 1-0 up. 2-0 was a little bit more representative of the way I thought the period went. I thought Carolina was significantly better than the Rangers in the first period. So you get that goal to make it 2-0. Then you start the third period, and the no, I'm sorry. I told you the third goal. My fault. This is why, me just looking at the camera as opposed to looking at my notes is probably not a good idea. The second goal was the Aho to Jarvis goal, which was utterly filthy. What a great pass from Aho, who is about to skate around behind the net. By the way, the back of the net was gorgeous today for Carolina, as three of the first 4 goals originated behind the net. So Aho behind the net to Jarvis, his finish up high over Shesterkin made it 2-0. The Blake goal early in the second period, 2:02 in, made it 3-0. And then Carrier behind the net to Jankowski in front makes it 4-0. So Jankowski's only been here since March 9th, people. He's got 8 goals for the Hurricanes. 8 goals. How many goals does Mikko Rantanen have for Dallas? That's right. Mark Jankowski, better than Mikko Rantanen. I said it. I'm not really serious, but he fits better here than Mikko Rantanen did. Although I still think Mikko would have eventually been okay. I don't think he would have been the star that he has been everywhere else, and maybe the star that he will be in Dallas. I think his style is better suited to Dallas than it is to what Carolina does. Remember what Dallas is, real quick. Dallas is more of a sit back, let you make a mistake, and capitalize a team. They're not an awesome forechecking team. They are big, right? So Rantanen fits in there. But they are not really a forechecking team. They are force you into mistakes. Not through defensive pressure like Carolina does it, but put you in tough situations, use their size. When the turnover is there, they capitalize. And that's perfect for Rantanen. Anyway, Canes led it 4-0. The Willie Cooley goal made it 4-1. And then, before we talk about the Jordan Staal goal, well, I'm not even going to wait. We're just going to talk about the Jordan Staal goal. Captain missed a handful of games, right, with a lower body injury. I don't know if it was off. I think it was off a shot block. So he's still clearly not 100%, but he's ready. I wouldn't be surprised if he took a game or two off in Canada. It'll be interesting to see what the lineup is like when we get up to Montreal and Ottawa Wednesday and Thursday. But it was just a great defensive. First of all, the anticipation. He picks off the pass inside the blue line, and then with Braden Schneider just draped all over him, goes down the left-hand side, and then he snaps it over top of Shesterkin to make it 5-1. To me, the goal was reminiscent of like a defensive lineman picking off a screen pass on the left side and then fighting his way through tackles to score a touchdown. It was such a big guy touchdown, big man pick six. It was awesome. Again, there's that word again. But you get it. You understand why I'm using it. All right. We haven't done this yet, and I haven't done it in a few weeks. Shout-outs. So, let's start. Idaho. Well done, Idaho. Halifax, Nova Scotia. Very nice. Cali Caniacs checking in. Let's see. Washington, D.C. We have Bluefield, West Virginia. Mo Money, Mo Meyer, North Carolina. See what I did there. Tampa Bay, Hoke County. We have multiple Hoke counties. You guys should get together. Jen is at work, tried to remain anonymous until she pointed out that she was at work and she used her name. But I don't know where she works. There are probably lots of Jens at work watching this podcast. Mikhailev in Adelaide Hills, Australia, checking in. We're live in Latvia today. Well, we're on YouTube, so we're live all over the globe. Let's see. Charlotte, Raleigh checking in. I love it when we are global. Well done, Raleigh. Greenville, North Carolina. Wilmington, Denver, Sarasota, Florida, and the High Country, which is one of my favorite countries. All right. Couple of things I want to go through. Let's start with the goaltender interference. First of all, somebody asked about Sam Bennett as a free agent. Like, I think he's re-signing with Florida. I love Sam Bennett. I don't think the Hurricanes are going to be all that active in free agency. I don't think there are great free agents out there not named Mitch Marner. I think he's staying in Toronto. Carolina does have a lot of money to use, so I think they're more likely to be in the trade market for maybe existing players that might have higher salaries. But I don't think they're going to go after Sam Bennett because, again, I think he stays in Florida. I like Sam Bennett a lot. I think he's 28, but I think he's going to sign a long-term deal there, and I don't think Carolina is going to invest a 7-year deal in somebody who's already 28. If they were willing to do that, they would have done that with Vincent Trocheck a few years ago. All right, to the goalie interference situation. Now, we could debate all day long whether or not that was goaltender interference. I think it was. I think it was clearly goaltender interference. And I think that challenging it was the right call. I understand the mindset of why you would think differently. This is not a debate whether or not it is right or wrong. Here's my philosophy, but I will present the prevailing thought on Twitter. Why challenge that? It's 5-3. The Rangers are pushing. They've already scored a power play goal. Why do you risk giving them another power play to possibly make it 5-4? I understand that. But I also didn't think it was a goal. I thought it was goaltender interference. It's clear that Vincent Trocheck checks Sean Walker into Pyotr Kochetkov. Clear as day. To me, the only debate is, does Kochetkov have enough time to reset? And maybe he does, but he was also forced much further back in his net than he was. So I think it was the right call. And I think there's an intangible reason why it was the right decision to try to challenge it. Because as much as anything, these 4 games that the Hurricanes are playing today, tomorrow against Toronto, and then the 2 in Montreal and Ottawa, these games are about getting ready for whatever happens, let's say a week from tomorrow or a week from Monday. I think the Hurricanes are going to start Monday, but it could be Sunday. 5-3, still got a 2-goal lead. I'm not saying there's no pressure, but I don't mind applying more pressure to Pyotr Kochetkov and making him feel the game in the balance. I do. I am absolutely steadfast that the Hurricanes have to figure out a way to get him right because he has to play in the playoffs. Now, if Carolina's only interested in winning a round and then maybe getting knocked out in the second round of the playoffs, then you don't need Pyotr Kochetkov. But if the plan, and I think the plan is to stay around as long as possible, you're going to need both goalies to be apart. Kochetkov needed to play a good game today. I think for the most part, he was okay. I don't think he was great, but here, you've watched the last 5 where he was terrible. I'm going to say that was a confidence-building game for him. Again, it wasn't great. I didn't like the first goal. I think you could make arguments that he could have been better on some rebounds, covering the puck. But he also made some pretty good challenging saves, and I think he was at his best in the first period. So I don't mind Rod Brind'Amour putting a little bit more game pressure on Kochetkov, thinking big picture. Let's be honest. Today, Carolina proved that what they were about in the first 2 periods. They won the game. And when Jordan Staal scored to make it 5-1, they won the game there. Do I like the fact that the Rangers scored 2 goals? No. But I thought Carolina proved what they were in the first 45 minutes of this one. And the rest of it, for me, is either get out of here alive or, again, I think Rod didn't necessarily challenge it for this reason, but I don't know, maybe he thought about it. Maybe he thought, who cares if I give him a power play? I'm going to make this kid play out the last, 6 or so minutes of this game and, have to sweat it out. And I'm good with it. I was absolutely good with it at the time. But again, I think Toronto blew the call. I thought it was a clear goaltender interference. All right, 2 more things, and then we'll dive out of here. The first is Alexander Nikishin. I know a lot of you heard the interview with Eric Tulsky this week. If you didn't, it's available on the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. Also available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as live on YouTube. So you can see me talking to Eric Tulsky. He's not on video. He's not on camera. He is on the phone, but you can see me. And who wouldn't want to see that? Sorry. First of all, I love Eric's got a great sense of humor. But we talked about Nikishin, and I think I understand how much fans want him to play. But I think, barring an injury, there's almost no chance he plays in the postseason. And that's okay. But the chances of you getting through 2 rounds of the playoffs without an injury on your back end, man, those are small. I mean, maybe 1 in 4. Now, I understand Carolina, for the most part, has played just about the whole season with very few injuries. Slavin missed a little bit of time. Orlov missed a little bit of time. Was it Slavin missed a little? It could be mixing up years. Clearly, Gostisbehere missed some time. So I wouldn't be. I mean, I guess Carolina's top 6 could stay intact, which would open up the door for Nikishin to draw in. But barring an injury, he ain't playing. So it's just not enough time to get him ready. And here's the other thing, and I mentioned this about specifically to this game. I know how many of you out there don't like Brent Burns and don't like Dmitry Orlov. You and I are going to disagree about this. They are clearly top 4 defensemen on this team. And if Rod Brindamore was going to pull people out of the lineup to get Alexander Nikishin in, it wouldn't be either of them. So, I thought Dmitry was good today. I thought Burns was good today. And Nikishin ain't coming in the lineup, having not played for either of those guys. If they were going to pull somebody out of the line, look, I don't think there's anybody they're going to pull out of the lineup for Alexander Nikishin. It is good. I want to see him in a game, though, because I certainly do think that Carolina would have a really great option if something happened to one of your top 6, or if somebody's game drops off to the point where I'm not sure we can put him back out there. Then you have the option of him. I don't think Scott Morrow is an option. I would not want to see him on the ice in a playoff game. Again, I thought he was pretty poor in D.C. in some difficult circumstances. I thought today he was good. I really do. I think he was good today. Good bounce-back game for him. But Rod can control matchups on home ice that he can't control on the road. But look, Nikishin represents the future. He's the top prospect in the NHL, and he's an element that the Hurricanes do not possess, either at the forward group or on the blue line, and that is somebody big and strong with a mean streak. Nobody Carolina has plays with a mean streak. And I think you need an element of that. It's one of my fears about this team in the postseason. Not enough edginess. Playoffs are edgy. Really edgy. So I think Nikishin is a play for the future, but I just don't think you'll see him now. But Nikishin will play mean. But he can score. He can defend. He was the captain of his team at age, 22, 23? He's the captain of this team. A lot of veterans on that team, too. Could do it all. And he's going to play a lot of minutes for Carolina next year. He's going to be in the lineup next year. Heck, you might have both him and Scott Morrow in the lineup next season. And the Hurricanes have some sneaky good prospects still coming from overseas. So there's really not much else to say about Nikishin other than if you want to know about the nuts and bolts of maybe how it came together or, what stands in the way of him getting a visa. Remember, he's got to get a visa to come here and a visa to go to Canada because you're working in Canada. So he can't just come here and then, I'm here, and then just cross the border into Canada and start working. He needs a visa that is recognized by the Canadian government too. And that we don't have that yet. All right. Last thing we will do, and then we will wrap this thing up. So just thinking about forward lines for the playoffs. Right now, Carolina's got, because Taylor Hall is healthy. I would imagine Kotkaniemi and Hall both draw into the lineup tomorrow against Toronto. So you got 14 healthy forwards. Healthy enough to play anyway. 14 healthy guys. And I guess for the most part, we could add Morrow and potentially Nikishin to the back end and say you've got 8 healthy defensemen. But let's focus on the forward group. Here's the way I see it shaking out. I hope Blake and Jarvis stay together because until otherwise proven, they're really good. Look, I got a message on Twitter today complimenting me on my Jackson Blake support, fandom from way earlier in the season. Look, he looked like he could play. to me. We saw it in the preseason, but all throughout the regular season, you could tell all he was lacking was more ice, obviously some strength, but also playmaking and scoring confidence. And I think he had that in himself, but I think over the course of the season, he not only proved that he could do this to himself and others, but I think he got better as I think a lot of Jackson Blake early was him trying to convince himself that he was confident, so he carried himself and played with a level of confidence. Here, I'll use this as an example. Baker Mayfield. He had the one great year, his second year in Cleveland. But Baker Mayfield, to me, was a fake it till you make it quarterback. Carried himself exactly the way you want to see a number one quarterback carry himself, played confidently, talked confidently, but his play didn't really completely back up the confidence. But you could tell as the season was going on that Jackson Blake was not just a confident player, he knew that he was good enough. And now he plays the game, not like a veteran, obviously. He plays the game like he knows he's dangerous. And he is absolutely dangerous. So Jarvis is, frankly, probably Carolina's best forward. And that's not a knock on Aho. That is all about number 24. And that line, to me, is going to stay together until a team proves that they need some size to help out. I just think that's the way it's going to be. I think Rod will go back to Staal, Martinook, and Carrier. But the way Stankoven plays and fits on that line, I can see on the road using Stankoven. Because Stankoven, or maybe it's better at home. I don't know. I think you'd want, I don't know. It's probably the same either way. But I think he's going to go back to Carrier there, but Stankoven absolutely fits on that line. 100% fits on that line. I think on home ice, it might be better to use Carrier on that line. And I think Carrier is going to be part of the mix in the postseason. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is going to get the first crack at that center spot on the third line. I think between Taylor Hall and Andrei Svechnikov, and I've said this before, I think the Hurricanes in the playoffs will go as far as their third line will take them. I said it before when that third line was a different makeup. Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, and Hall should get favorable matchups here. And they should score. On the road, they're going to be asked to probably deal with, top or second lines. It's going to be a challenge for them when the Hurricanes are on the road. But here at Lenovo, that line should get some scoring opportunities. Are we going to see the Andrei Svechnikov that can score goals? I don't know what Andrei was doing. I don't know if was it on the power play? I don't know if that it was or not. But he had the puck on the hash mark just to the left of the goal and passed the puck to Jack Roslovic. Pass never got there. It was intercepted before it got to Jack. Andrei, just not going to get a better opportunity to score a goal. Go score a goal. So they need Andrei to get his brain back working again. But I think Andrei's going to get that crack on the left side of Kotkaniemi and Hall. And then I think Mark Jankowski centers your fourth line. Jankowski, Robinson, and I think Stankoven, although today, Carrier played on the fourth line. But I think Jankowski, Stankoven on the right, and Robinson on the left, man. I think that's a good fourth line. I think it's a fourth line who could score goals, like legit score goals. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we're sitting here in the middle of the second round of the playoffs and that line has generated 4 or 5 goals. And if they do that, Carolina is, as Trip Tracy says, cooking with oil, gas, and gravy. So for me, Tyson Jost and Jack Roslovic become healthy extras. Roslovic's had a good year, 21 goals to his credit. Not as much over the, after the first, say, 10 or 12 games of the season. I just think he is a defensive liability that some of these other players aren't. Jost, I think Tyson has played really well here, but he's the easiest healthy scratch in the world. Roslovic is more of the difficult choice because Roslovic does present the opportunity for goal scoring, not to mention you don't have a lot of right-handed faceoff guys, and he is somebody that you have used on the second unit of your power play. The only way he stays in the lineup, and potentially Kotkaniemi or Jankowski, although I'd play him, is if you need a right-handed center. And Roslovic has done a good job in the faceoff circle for Carolina, but I don't think Rod Brind'Amour is going to have Jack Roslovic take any key draws. None. So that's how I think the forward group is going to play out. Still have some things to sort through. I still want to see another good start from Kochetkov. That'll come, I would imagine, Wednesday in Montreal. I don't think Freddie's going to start. I think tomorrow is Freddie's last start. I think Wednesday in Montreal and I think Thursday in Ottawa is going to be somebody not named Kochetkov or Anderson. Heck, it might be Yanni Peretz. I mean, I don't know if Kazayev is still in Chicago, if it's not Spencer Martin. But I don't think that you'll see either of Carolina's top two goalies in that game. It'll be somebody up for the minor leagues. So Kochetkov's got one more regular season start. That'll come on Wednesday in Montreal. Anderson will play his last game of the regular season. I'm not saying that. I'm not reporting this. I'm saying this is what I think will happen. And I believe that will happen tomorrow against the Leafs. And this is probably the last game where you might see the full lineup dressed out. And we'll see if Rod tips his hand with anything going to tomorrow's game. It might be a case where another veteran gets a day off. I don't know. Maybe it's Martinook that comes out of the lineup tomorrow. I don't know that anybody is hurt. I really don't. With that said, we're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. On Hamlin Road in Durham, no place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. Before we go, this was, to me, the play of the game.
7 minutes now off of the draw. It comes through, and it stays out somehow. Kochetkov kept it out as Miller at the side of the net banked 1 and 2, and it danced on the line. Puck is clearly not in the net. It's on the other side.
I do not know how that stayed out. It got tipped on the way in. It looked like it settled right on the goal line. Almost went off of Kochetkov's left skating in the net, and then Chatfield saved the day with his stick. That puck just sitting on the goal line.
Chatfield saved a goal. Played well. Top 4 on the blue line. Played well. All right, we got to go. Thanks to the Aluminum Company. We will talk to you all after the game against Toronto tomorrow. I am Adam Gold. This has been the Canes Corner Podcast. Hey, rate, review, like, subscribe, tell your friends, do what you got to do. Let's see if we can't get over the 1 million subscriber mark. But I appreciate you guys hanging in. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Good night.